Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Welcome to round 12 of the NPL Men's Victoria competition here on a brisk autumn afternoon here at Port Melbourne. It is the Port Melbourne Sharks taking on the Dandenong City. Two teams firmly within the finals hunt. Two teams who will stake their claim to take that 6th place position on the table. You'd say outside of the traditional Big Five, this season. Both of these sides have certainly demonstrated their qualities, but have not quite broken in to the upper tier of the table at the moment. Of course, these two sides haven't met in just under 2 years. Last time they met, July 2022, should I say, with goals from Ross Archibald and Nathan Dibb. Dibb, of course, still a member of this Dandenong City side. There's much change for the Port Melbourne Sharks in recent seasons, and we'll take you through the starting lineups in just a few moments. Of course, the Port Melbourne Sharks currently sit at 6th on the table this season. Dandenong City in 7th. A win for the away side could put them into finals positions. Starting off with the Port Melbourne Sharks. An injury warm-up to Lucas Burns' season dropped out of the substitutes, and we'll see a lineup consisting of the following. Number 12, Alex Baker. Number 14, Jackson Courtney Perkins. Number 6, Daniel Edwards, also captains the size. Number 28, Nathaniel Hancock. Number 2, Mark Latsis. Number 11, Charlie Leach. Number 22, Maker. Number 27, Andrew Mezzaruni. Number 35, Emmanuel Peters. Number 1, Ilya Shamalanov-Trenkov. And number 10, Owen Stokes. As for Dandenong City, of course, fairly simple 3-2 victory over newly promoted Manningham last week. Eager to continue their away winning form. Starting for the away side, number 23, Will Bauer. Number 13, Avali Sesnik, who returns to JL Murphy Reserve for the first time since he moved across. Number 1, John Hall. Number 24, Nicholas Hamakiotis. Number 4, Matthew Hennessy. Number 17 is Danny Kim. Number 25, George Lambadaridis. Number 38, Jackson Lino. Number 11, Brady Quinn. Number 5, Jack Webster. And number 19, James Exidius. No Thomas Giannakopoulos for the Dandenong City this afternoon. We'll see how both sides can compose themselves heading into the latter portion of the season. Almost at the halfway point, but very eager to see what will greet our eyes this afternoon/evening, a 5 p.m. kickoff. The Port Melbourne sun will beam on JL Murphy Reserve. A picturesque image, a great pitch here at JL Murphy. The curators have done a splendid job getting this pitch up to standard. You do remember last season in which they had a bit of a battle with the council to try and raise the standard of the facilities here at JL Murphy. But it's obviously great news. You can see Nick Marinos and Nick Tolios exchanging pleasantries. Of course, Marinos, the former under-23s coach here at the Port Melbourne Sharks before taking the reins as first team head coach. A turbulent off-season for the Sharks, but with a newly revamped squad, anything is possible. In fact, one of the only players who stayed the course from last season, Daniel Edwards, captaining the side this afternoon. Jackson Courtney Perkins also part of the squad last season and part of the furniture at the Sharks' 4th season for Mr. Courtney Perkins. Ross Clark, our man in the middle this afternoon, and we're ready to get underway. Of course, we've got several games kicking off at around the same time. Of course, Orthodox Easter is tomorrow, so all the Greek-based teams playing their games on a Saturday afternoon. It's nothing better in the NPL Victoria, and we will have kickoff right now. Lambadaridis, a brace for him last week. He'll be keen to continue his goal-scoring streak. Webster. Kim. City looking to start off very strong. Of course, both of these sides came up against South Melbourne in recent weeks. Port Melbourne narrowly missing out last Saturday night. A fantastic free kick from Owen Stokes within the first few minutes set the tone, and then South got a few back. They were very close to breaking the long unbeaten streak from South Melbourne, who are currently down 1-0 against Avondale. just up the road at Lakeside Stadium. Smilov Trenkova bounces high. Exidius gets his body in the way. Now with Edwards. Looking up the line to Courtney Perkins. There was a call for offside, but he'll drive back towards Edwards, flicking to the box. Mezzaruni is there, but he leaves it, and it's a bit of pandemonium in the area. Courtney Perkins with a shot. That is blocked. And City might look to stride forward. This time, Valley Sesnick beating past one. Scott Quinn for support in a deeper position. It's back to Sesnick. Couldn't think of two squads that have more contrasting levels of squad retention over the past few seasons. Dandenong City have kept the bulk of their squad for a few seasons now. Of course, Jack Webster was a member of the squad last campaign. Jackson Lino as well, firmly involved with this Dandenong City side. Port Melbourne only retaining a few players. Christian Bombaci doesn't feature this evening, but he obviously has been a part of the squad for a few seasons now. Interrupted, of course, with a brief stint at the Preston Lions, but nonetheless, since Adam Pittock departed the club, seems like a lot of the furniture departed with him. Well, not distinctly to the Dandenong Thunder, which is quite intriguing to examine. Of course, you look at the bulk of that midfield, it's completely changed. Charlie Leach now is the preferred number 8 at the club, alongside Owen Stokes, who's also dropping a bit deeper this afternoon. Maker's also shifted into midfield a few times. We do see him on the ball now. And City are pressing. Smilanov Trenkova had to go long. Now Peters had to track deep. Maker. A rare feature in the NPL Victoria is numbers and names on the back of shirts. I believe it's only Port Melbourne and Hume City who have opted for that this season, and it certainly makes the commentators' lives a lot easier. Baker. Now with Hancock. An exquisite switch, nearly finding the Kiwi and Daniel Edwards, but it's flicked across by James Exidius. Leach. Tracks back. Hancock. Now Maker. Port Melbourne enforcing a high line. Lattice. Maker. On halfway is Nathaniel Hancock. Now Stokes. It's towards Baker. Now Edwards. For their first season back in the top flight, Dandenong City have had quite a good campaign, all things considered. Certainly wowed critics with their free-flowing style of football. I mean, that's to be expected under a great head coach that is Nick Tolios. Certainly not struggled for goals either, and have got a very deep squad full of former greats in both the NPL and the A-League men. Of course, Danny Kim, a number of those players that have come across from the A-League, including Kenny Athieu, who hasn't featured for a few weeks now. Both sides have not struggled for goals either this season. 19 apiece. Although it's City with the worst defensive record, scoring 20. Edwards. Port Melbourne liking that far side. Courtney Perkins looking to drive into midfield. Now Leach on that left-hand channel, looking to cut inside on his left. Courtney Perkins still going across the box. And John Hall's there to clean up. Webster. Quinn. Back with Webster. Chested down by Bauer. No foul call, but Ross Clark eventually blows his whistle. Evenly poised in his opening few minutes. As a misplaced pass might be capitalised on by the Sharks. Stokes. Looking right towards Manny Peters. On the right edge of the area. Twirling left and right. Latz is overlapping towards the back stick it goes. But Cessnick is able to pick up. Into toe with his former Port Melbourne teammate and Courtney Perkins. And Hajduk can reset. Kim. Lambanarides. Unable to find a player in question. Mezzaruni. Ball slightly overhit towards Mark Latsis. And he'll be out for a goal kick. Well, Port Melbourne, if you look at their squad, you immediately notice the large amount of ex-South Melbourne youngsters and also senior players. Latsis, one of them. Mezzaruni, one of them, of course, has family involved at the club at a senior position. Lambanarides, Kim, Lino, Hennessy, Quinn, and Leach will pick off the misplaced pass from Dandenong City. Courtney Perkins shaping it onto his right, then onto his left. Jackson Courtney Perkins. It deflects off Matthew Hennessy and out for a corner. We'll go around the grounds this afternoon. Of course, a couple of matches, as was previously mentioned, happening at the same time. And following this corner, we might assess what's currently going on around the state. Short towards Peters. Falls out on the edge of the area. But it's won back by Port Melbourne. Stokes. The deflection finds him. Looking towards the back post is Hancock. And then Mezzaruni might have sent that ball all the way to Lakeside Stadium. That is one of the biggest miscues you will see, and it's firmly found itself onto Plummer Street. Mezzaruni letting it fly. Why not? Hall to Kim. Webster. Hall slightly under pressure, but contends with it fairly well. Baker with the backwards header. It's Hancock. Picked off by Bauer. On the right-hand side is Hamakiotis. Short towards Lambanarides. He can pop one from range. Hamakiotis flicking it towards the back post. And the backwards header, or should I say, just arrived in the nick of time. It was sort of unexpected the way in which it dipped for the Dandenong City player, but nonetheless, I believe it's been called for offside. And a player is down for the Sharks. It looks like Nathaniel Hancock, of course, a centre back by nature, drifting upfield following that initial corner from the Port Melbourne Sharks, and he seems to be in some way here. Look around the grounds, of course. Heidelberg United going up against Manningham United, currently 0-0 at the Village. Avondale have just regained their lead through a penalty in the 56th minute against South Melbourne. So those two sides certainly trading blows with a penalty from Harry Sawyer earlier on in the second half. Hancock looks to be all okay, and he'll drift out for a brief few moments. Samanov Trenkova will take this resulting offside call. Strong header from Kim. No one in pursuit. He'll be out for a throw. And of course, Salamanov Trenkova what an outstanding pickup for the Port Melbourne Sharks, of course. Had a very long youth career in Bulgaria with CSKA Sofia. Spent some time in the Bulgarian lower tiers with Litek Slovak. His brother, Georgi Shamalanov-Trokov, is considered to be one of the best young players in the NPL Victoria. Hasn't got on the pitch this season. We'll hear that he will be back in just a few weeks. So we'll see what he can do in the middle of the park. A midfielder compared to his brother, which is, well, a goalkeeper that's standing at an incredibly tall stature. Quinn does clip his fellow number 11 and Leach. Hennessy, Hamakiotis. Beating past the Western Australian. Nice little 1-2 touch. Back to Hamakiotis. Towards the back post it goes. But Dan Edwards was there. And will also retrieve the loose ball. Now Courtney Perkins. Couple of step overs. Edwards. This is fantastic interplay from the Port Melbourne Sharks, but a slightly heavy touch from the Queenslander. Could see Dandenong City through here on this right side. That pass over hit towards Will Bauer. Shamalanov-Trokov is forced to clear upfield. Ball just zipping across the surface. You can clearly tell that this pitch has been curated to the best it can possibly can be. It's Quinn. Back towards John Hall. Kim. Towards Lino. Under pressure was Brady Quinn, but dealt with it fairly well. Back with Webster. Towards Kim. He looks right and finds an option. Long ball forward. Hamakiotis. Last touch came off a Sharks player. They'll be out for a corner. Decent turnout here at J.L. Murphy Reserve on a Saturday afternoon. See a lot of the fans streaming in. The car park within the stadium is nearly full, which is always a good sign. Several cars perched up on the hill as well. Cross towards the middle is Hennessy, and then Webster hits the post and somehow doesn't find its way in. Can the Sharks reply? Lino and Peters in a foot race. That's one out by the former Melbourne Victory man. And out for a goal kick. Of course, Webster was involved in a goal via a set piece last week. Provided the flicked on header for Lambatarides. Hall. Makeup. Lino. And there's an exquisite switch from Lambatarides, but Sesnick was offside. Of course, Lambatarides a double last week. Two well-taken goals, the first of which outside of the box. The second one was nicely nestled inside. Former Brisbane Roar man has spent a long time in this competition with the likes of Green Gully and the Bentley Greens, where he achieved most of his success. Winning a title under Nick Telios at the Greens just about 5 years ago now. Make up. Shamalanov-Trokov has also represented the Olyroos as well. He was in the same camp as South Melbourne's Emil Pios about 2 years ago. Great ball from Maker, chested down by Mezzaruni. And Hennessy's legs hit the back foot of Manny Peters, but he didn't seem to be in too much pain there. Leach. Maker. Baker. Hancock. Towards Maker. striding up the pitch. Past halfway now. Maker still going. And that pass was deflected by Quinn. And Hall there to pick up the scraps. His distribution not quite on cue to find Will Bauer. Hancock. Here's Baker. Stokes. Oh, and Stokes. Of course, he would have seen that goal that went across the channels last week in the NPL Victoria. It was an outstanding hit free kick, nestled into the top left corner. Courtney Perkins in the centre circle, does find Latsis. It drops into midfield. Now James Xidius being charged down by Courtney Perkins and has forced a misplaced pass. Stokes. The Sharks applying the pressure now. Maker. Diagonal to that right-hand side. Returned by Latsis. And then by Manuel Peters. We'll look to shape a cross in past the byline. Webster. Kim. Was charged down initially. Fantastic tackle by Daniel Edwards. To upend Lali Sesnick. It's back with Edwards. Lambertarides. The Sharks now will reset. Of course, Daniel Edwards, long and lengthy career in New Zealand, also spent some time in America. Most recently of Eastern Suburbs. This is a long stint in his career at the Port Melbourne Sharks. A few seasons at the club already. With Maker. Long ball over the top, looking for Mark Latsis, but it's claimed by John Hall. Lambertarides. Now Mezzaruni. The sliding effort from Kim. Maker. Tamakiotis. Bit of scrappiness on this near side. It's Peters drifting into the space. Tamakiotis able to pick off the pass. Lambertarides. Latsis stepping in. Leach. There's a Rooney. Now Sesnick. Webster. Xidius. Charging down that right flank. Hancock is there to pick up the pieces. Deep towards Kim. Sliding it into midfield. Lambertarides. Overlapping is Jackson Lino. Now Quinn. Shapes one into the box. It's Baker with the header forward. Now the Sharks will look to mount a counter-attack of their own. Leach. It's with Edwards. The Sharks happy to reset. But there is Courtney Perkins in space and certainly has the pace to drift past defenders. Edwards. Hall. Hennessy. Quinn. Back to Hall. Goes along. Maker. That's excellent body positioning from Mezzaruni. Manuel Peters screaming in pain, but looks to be all okay on this near side. Latsis. Misplaced pass. Lambertarides. Strong challenge from Stokes. And might find Manny Peters. Twisting, twirling left and right. Latsis providing support. The Sharks will reset now through Stokes. Of course, Owen Stokes came from New Zealand, in which he had a fantastic record there. Lofted the ball over the top from Jack Webster. Now Maker, feeling well under pressure. Latsis clamped down and is awarded the free kick. As I said, Stokes was an Irish youth international, played under 16s, 17s and 19s. Once played against Leroy Sané, a German winger, at one point. Latsis seems to have hit his head. Causes for concern, maybe of a concussion, but he looks to be all okay. Very headstrong as Mark Latsis, of course, had suffered a significant leg break whilst he was at Kingston City a few seasons back, and then, of course, returned to the Melbourne Victory last year. He's back up on his feet, and he seems to be all good now. Edwards. Latsis. Diagonals executed. Executed well at that. It's with Hancock. Firing one into the body of John Hall. Quinn. Hennessy. Straight into feet of Maker. And Hajduk able to win a free kick. Here is Lino, isolating himself with Mark Latsis. Both were at the Victory Youth Academy at one point. Peters looking down the line. Ball still stays in play. And it's rolled all the way towards Matt Hennessy, where the assistant has called for it being out of play. And yeah, the ball is out. Nate Marino's offering the assistant a ball. And it'll be Port Melbourne Sharks ball. Peters. Make up. Hancock. Edwards now. Pass not executed to full effect. It's one back by Edwards though, who into touch finds Leach. Looping ball over the top. Finds the head of Webster. Beautiful one-touch football from Dandenong City, who finds space down that right flank. One back by Stokes. Flick towards Stokes, who neatly nestles it towards Jackson Courtney Perkins. Looking to drive onto his right, then onto his left. It's Courtney Perkins, short towards Stokes. Hennessy with the interception. Baker, Hancock. Maker. Latsis. Short towards Maker. Into feed is Stokes. It's Baker. Edwards. Sharks happy to knock it around in the midfield region. Maker. Nathaniel Hancock, of course, formerly of South Melbourne, where he spent time there last season. Also played a bit of football in the UAE with St George and New South Wales. St George FA, should I say, not St George City. And also with Adelaide, Croatia. Lambertaridis, Lino. Had several Sharks players to part with, and he did so eventually. Lambertaridis on this near side towards Quinn. Lambertaridis. Cessnick. Slaps tightly away from where he initially wanted it. Towards the centre it goes, Bauer! Mistimed. Back post now, Lambertaridis. Lino having an air swing at it. Exidius on the right edge of the penalty area. Into the box again. And Shalamanov Trinkova is able to claim. Edwards. Hancock. Stokes. Swivels away from his markers. And Courtney Perkins can't receive into touch. Webster in field. Lambertaridis in space. Well, it's hard for Will Bauer, of course, a makeshift striker this evening. They're not with Damien Iaconis or Kenny Athiu, so I guess they're bereft of goal-scoring options. There's a great ball up the left-hand side is picked up by Jack Webster. It's with Hancock. Maker. Makes his way across to J.L. Murphy Reserve. Once again, of course, had a few stints at this club already. Tried his luck overseas with a club formerly known by the name of Flat Earth FC. No, I'm not joking, in the Spanish third tier. Also played in the lower tiers of Lithuania at one point as well. So well travelled is Maker. His brother also was a high NBA draft pick. Von Maker for the Milwaukee Bucks. Excellent touch from Cessnick. Into feet now is Quinn. Looking to get the cross away and calls for a handball against Owen Stokes. So waved away. And we'll see a corner from Hajduk on that far side. towards Kim. Webster is there at the back stick. Lamanov Trenkova and Jack Webster just having a bit of a cuddle. Up forward is Mezzaruni, who's offside. And John Hall gets it away anyway, but I think there was a call maybe for one of the Port Melbourne Sharks assistants for Mezzaruni to make the darting run forward. Kaiser Andoliko to just race up the pitch. Manningham lead 2-0 against... Sorry, should I say Heidelberg lead 2-0 against Manningham at the Village. As they'll continue their undefeated streak so far this season. Hennessy. Hall. Leach. Baker under pressure. Oh, no foul called. Play continues. Hamakiotis pops one from range. Well, Leach was certainly upended there, but no foul was awarded. Edwards. And Dandenong City are applying a massive press. It's Webster. And how about this image? You can see an excellent sunset here at JL Murphy Reserve. I'm not exactly sure if you can see it in frame, but the sunset certainly providing a fantastic backdrop to this football match occurring this evening. Look back towards Peters is in an offside position. And play continued still, and it was a great opportunity for Dandenong City to break forward. Lambadarides. Lino. Hamakiotis. Onto his right, then onto his left. It's with Kim. Shaping it back towards Matt Hennessy. Looks for the switch. Executes the switch. No one was there to receive the switch. As after a very strong first 20 minutes or so, both sides exchanging blows, the game has seemingly found a bit of a holding pattern as Hall misplaces his clearance. Edwards into tango with Exidius. Excellent ball towards Manny Peters. Shifts it back towards Stokes. It's Maker. Latsis. The Sharks win out the battle. It's Latsis on his left foot. Shaping his way past Danny Kim. And then the strike en route arrives. I believe it was Charlie Leach. And John Hall is there to make the first big save of the evening. One of the nicest sunsets you will see in this state, without a shadow of a doubt. Cross-lofted and towards the centre. The last touch certainly came off Dandenong City player in Brady Quinn. Nick Telliol's pretty adamant that it was off the foot of Charlie Leach. Maybe it did touch him one more time before going out, but here is Stokes. In behind could be Emmanuel Peters getting the strike away and crash. It was across the face, and there is Jackson Courtney Perkins, JCP, with his third goal of the season. And it was almost a cross-come shot from Emmanuel Peters. And who is there but Jackson Courtney Perkins? An excellent delivery, an easy tap in. Not only can he score, but he can assist some as well. Emmanuel Peters proving his worth against his former side. But it's the Port Melbourne marksman, Jackson Courtney Perkins, who delivers, as we are so accustomed to seeing at this very ground. And that might have an added spring in their step. Hamakiotis unmarked on that near side. Overlapping is Quinn, looking towards the byline. But it's well dealt with by Port Melbourne. And Maker, who looks upfield towards Peters. Now Lambadarides. Port Melbourne went out once more. Stokes, Leach. Sharks players pressing. It's Latsis. Stokes. Mezzaruni. The Sharks are well and truly asserting themselves. Certainly dominating the phases of play since that goal. And a miscommunication could see Mezzaruni pick up in space. Driving in towards the box. And John Hall there to claim again. Lino. Lambadarides under some pressure. Again, it's with Hall. Looking for Latsis. And Leach, very tame header. Finds into feet again is Jackson Lino. Hamakiotis. Infield is Quinn. City have numbers forward. Xidius.
Step.
Looking towards the back stick. Wasn't exactly delivered with the best poise you've ever seen. Webster. Here is John Hall. Good first touch from Jackson Lino. Emmanuel Peters adamant that he didn't touch Lino, and looks like Ross Clark might have a decision to make. No card awarded. And Nick Marinos, he can't believe it. He's having a chat with the fourth official. Kim. Hall firmly out of his box. Edwards. Hennessy. It's with Webster. Down that right channel. Sesnick. Touchback. Now towards Lino. A deft touch away, and the free kick has been called. Hamakiotis looked to play it on initially. And Ross Clark has called for it back once more. It looks like Dandenong City will look to shape a routine of their own. Into Mines briefly there, but nonetheless they will look to go now. Hamakiotis claimed easily. It's a long clearance, is still kept in play. And Courtney Perkins has received into touch. Courtney Perkins still going. It bounces off Hall. And that would have been one of the most outrageous goals you've seen at this very facility. A clearance from the goalkeeper nearly finding its way in towards Courtney Perkins. And now the diminutive midfielder in Charlie Leach looking to race up the park. Looks like we'll have at a time of just 1 minute. Of course, that hasn't been confirmed as of yet, but we should get confirmation of that from the fourth official on this near side in just a few moments. Here is Edwards. Quinn. Loft the ball to that left channel. Hamakiotis and Latsis doing battle. Still with Latsis. And Maker. Oh, was it caught by Jackson Lino whilst it was still in play? And Hamakiotis with the ball inside and has to be tipped over by Maker. Heidelberg up 3-0. And Avondale up 3-1. So it certainly does shape up the title race. Just that little bit. That early 6-point gap will be just reduced to 3. Hamakiotis at the near post was Lambadarides. And, well, Dandenong City's coaching staff adamant that it did hit a Port Melbourne player following the initial header from Lambadarides. And there is the halftime whistle. Well, Port Melbourne asserted themselves when it counted, and they got their just reward in the form of Jackson Courtney Perkins, who provided a go-ahead goal to kickstart tonight's proceedings at JL Murphy Reserve. Dandenong City have been asking the question, but haven't really been able to generate an efficient strike on goal, following Jack Webster's header that pierced the post in the opening 25 minutes. And we'll be back with you in about 15 minutes or so for the second half. Looks like we'll have a change. For Port Melbourne, Christian Bombachi is going to make his way onto the park in this second half. Mark Latsis is going to make way. So this might be something to do with concussion protocol, perhaps. So we will see the introduction of Christian Bombachi. Welcome back to this second half of round number 12 NPL Victoria action between the Port Melbourne Sharks and Dandenong City. The first half saw the Sharks open the scoring through Jackson Courtney Perkins, with Dandenong City a point to prove. Dan Edwards is going to hand over the captain's armband to Bombachi, 24-year-old captain of the Sharks. Can Hajduk respond, or can Port Melbourne hold down the fort here at Shark Park? I do see Georgi Shamalamanov-Trankov also on the bench, the outer bench of this facility, of course. As we do see Courtney Perkins drive in onto his right foot and get the strike away, right into John Hall. Of course, the main frustrations for Dandenong City in that first half maybe weren't so much the stuff you've seen on the pitch, more so the refereeing. They seem to have a bit of an issue with some of the decisions maybe not going their way. And of course, that's a point of contention to take into account. Here is Vali Sesnik. Overlapping, Zidius. Into the box it goes. Won't bob up nicely for any Dandenong City player. It's out to Jack Webster. Now it's with Exidius. Back towards Danny Kim. Now just on the halfway line is Matthew Hennessy. It's Alino. Marinos is very upset with his side and maybe the way in which they're pressing. And Baker neatly wins it back for the Sharks. Now Sesnik, Mezzaruni looking to break the space, and he's beat past Matt Hennessy. It's Mezzaruni bearing down on goal, looking left. Here is Courtney Perkins onto his right, then onto his left, intercepted by Webster. It's still alive for the Sharks. The foul eventually given to the away side. Really good ball spacing and positioning from Andrew Mezzaruni to just beat the space. They've got the three-headed monster up top in Mezzaruni, Peters and Courtney Perkins. And they're going to keep that composure in the second half, it looks like. At least from the early signs that we've seen in the opening 2 minutes of this second half. Webster. Exidius. Baker. Well, big changes on and off the park for Port Melbourne, not just within their squad, but the board level as well. Of course, Bill Romanovsky having departed the club earlier this season. Their president is towards Peters. Incisive ball towards Leach. And Matt Hennessy provided the late touch. And the switch from Lambatoridis. Sesnik. It's to come more in field to receive. Webster. Just feel as if there's an added level of intensity to this fixture. Here is Jackson Lino. Looks for a ball in behind. Now it's with Stokes. An attempted line-splitting pass for Mezzaruni. Nearly finds the body of Jackson Courtney Perkins. That clearance from John Hall. Possession in control of Dandenong City. And Maker will play it back to his goalkeeper, Selamanov-Trinkova. Stokes, of course, spent time at Leeds United, made his full professional debut in 2017 against Newport County in the League Cup. Has since played in Ireland and also in Scotland. Likes of Bohemians, Derry City, Cork City. And a great goal-scoring record at Christchurch with 18 goals last campaign. It's with Kim looking at field. Here is Leach. Edwards. Courtney Perkins to chase. Down that left channel. Exchanging passes again, is back with Edwards. Telepathic communication almost. The Sharks teammates. It's towards Baker. Drifting left. And a beautiful sliding effort from Quinn. We'll see it out of play for a throw-in. Edwards. Mezzaruni will shape one. Just wide of the goal. Towards that left-hand side. Hall. And Curtis. And that's out of play. It will be a Sharks throw-in. Bit of hot potato in that far corner on that right-hand side for the Sharks. Back to goal, Peters. Lofted into the box, Exidius. Baker stepping in. Lofted ball forwards. Hancock bats it away. It was Bombachi. Hall. Exidius. Bauer. Hancock. That header might be misplaced. And bundled over was Stokes. Then Mako with the sliding effort. Leach, mistime header. Sharks desiring to get it out of their defensive half. And eventually it was deflected by Lambatarides. Now Bauer on this right flank. Into the area it goes. And Owen Stokes will advance it forward for Hancock. Baker. City applying pressure. Misdirected pass towards Quinn, and Exidius will take the throw in. First real time we've seen in the second half. The Sharks having to cope with the pressure enforced by Dandenong City. It's Exidius. Curling away was Bauer. That's found its way into the trees. Salamanov Trinkova. Now towards Baker, of course. Well-travelled himself as well. His youth career with Ballarat City and the Ballarat Red Devils. It was only a part of fate that he moved to Western United in 2021. Spent some time at Forteur in Icelandic 2nd Division, and then moved back to Melbourne. The likes of the Bentley Greens and the Dandenong Thunder. Remember, he started playing professional football, or semi-professional football, tender age of 16, 17, and that's a sumptuous ball towards that right-hand side, and a massive sliding effort from Matt Hennessy, which is deemed to be legislative, according to Ross Clark, and that might provide that added bit of intensity that Hajduk sorely do need and do require in these latter stages of the game. It's Kim. Lino brought to ground. Clark waves clear. Courtney Perkins. It's kept in by James Exidius. Hustling and bustling on that right side. Lambatarides. Short towards Quinn. Looking to find space. Poor giveaway from the Port Melbourne Sharks. Daniel Edwards. Zidius. Pass picked off. Mezzaruni looks for space and did find the target option in Emmanuel Peters. Just didn't quite sit for him in the manner to which he would have liked or intended. Hancock. Back to goal was Mezzaruni. Neat little touch over the top. Edwards gets to it first. Driving into midfield. It might invite pressure for Dandenong City to break through Will Bauer. But the overhit ball will now find its way into the arms of Dan Edwards. Was Jackson's brother, Jordan Courtney Perkins, currently of Sydney FC. A big game for them this evening against MacArthur in the A-League Men Elimination Final. Jackson also spending the earlier part of his career with Southwest Queensland Thunder. Moreton Bay United also had some time with the youth system of German side Eversberg. We currently play in the Zweite Bundesliga. Stokes has got 4 City players marking him. Baker. Edwards. Webster hooks it forward. Baker directs his header out of play. I do feel as if Dandenong City are knocking on the door. It looks like they'll go to their bench for the first time this evening, perhaps. Kim hooks it across the face. Amakiotis was wrestled down by Emmanuel Peters. Short towards Matt Hennessy. It's Kim. Here's Exidius. City running out of real estate. The space opens up for the Port Melbourne Sharks. Mezzaruni, Courtney Perkins. Nice little 1-2 touch. And an excellent slided ball towards Emmanuel Peters. On his right foot, drifting inside into the area. It's towards Mezzaruni, back to goal. Across the D now towards Dan Edwards. Teasing ball! And that is an unreal piece of football for the Port Melbourne Sharks. Daniel Edwards clipping it towards Jackson Courtney Perkins, who has his brace, but might have ended up second best here. Well, goodness me. He does not look in a good way. Of course, you would think that the Sharks would like to celebrate, but it's obviously in the backdrop of a potential injury concern to Jackson Courtney Perkins. That was a pinpoint delivery from Dan Edwards, who's certainly done the dirty work on the left flank and also has dropped into midfield when required. Might this be the last act for Jackson Courtney Perkins? Who knows? But a brace for the Queenslander. Might have secured the 3 points for the Sharks this evening.
3 assistant coaches there, mate. Peth, that's your job, mate. Carry water. Fucking go get it.
Well, Owen Stokes has to go over the blood rule. Courtney Perkins does not have water, which I think is a major cause for concern. Nick Marinos has gone into the medical kit of the physio, who's still with Courtney Perkins, and you can just see the 3 Port Melbourne Sharks assistant coaches trying to find something to strap up Owen Stokes as play is back underway, which leaves the Sharks with 10 players on the park. Bauer into the box. A late runner does not arrive eventually for Dandenong City. Xidius curling ball into the area. Mezzaruni. And Courtney Perkins stepping in, who's now back on the park. Mezzaruni. Peters back to goal and bypasses Jackson Courtney Perkins, spots John Hall off his line. Looks to try the effort. To no avail, however. A little bit of conjecture here as to when Owen Stokes can come back onto the park, but back underway here. A mountain to climb for Dandenong City to even get a sniff at 3 points here. Maker. Got 2 Dandenong City players to path with. And you can see Emmanuel Peters so incensed with that effort from Maker. It's Quinn. It's Hammer Kiotis. City just putting everything forward at this point, which leaves gaps to exploit for the Sharks. It's Owen Stokes. It's short. Mezzaruni. It's easy pickings for Manny Peters. The Sharks with all but 3 points in the bag. And Manny Peters continues his goal-scoring form this season, up to 6. And might we say this Port Melbourne Sharks team is beginning to cook and finding the stride when is required. He's been involved in the goals this evening. The assist earlier on, and now delivers a goal of his own. It's a credit to the work, tireless effort that they've put in. And the Sharks will really assert their position at 6th on the table for the time being. It looks like they're looking to run away from the chasing pack. That's one of the worst throw-ins you'll ever see from Danny Kim. He completely miscues his throw-in. And Will Bauer and Charlie Leach going at it. The players from both sets of sides also just joining in. And we are going to see a quadruple change from Dandenong City. Let us forget that it was only a rule a few years ago to have more than 3 subs permitted to come onto the park. Now, 4 at once. And they're really going to go all balls to the wall here. Kenny Athiu, Kyan Bryant, Timothy Atherinos, Michael Martinovic. And it looks like they're going to go with all attack. So, to remind you, Atherinos, Bryant, Martinovic, Athiu, off, Exidius, Bauer, Hamakiotis, and Quinn. Is it a tactical master play from Nick Tolios, or is it sort of a case of, well, the game might be too far out of reach? Let's put our best foot forward. And the height of Kenny Athiu is certainly going to provide the much-needed support. Missed out last week. Into the area it goes. Lambertarides. Complete miscue from Manuel Peters. And Jackson Lino with the attempted acrobatics. Mezzaruni. Peters. Looks for the switch. But it's right into the arms of John Hall. Of course, for Port Melbourne, it doesn't really get that much easier. They have to come up against the side that is now all the way forward in the forms of Avondale, who defeated South Melbourne. As Cessnick was bearing down on goal. Calls for offside were waved away. But a good challenge from the Sharks' defence. Now Mezzaruni, back to goal. Stokes. Webster, almost masquerading as a central defensive midfielder now, it looks like, with Kyan Bryant taking up a position nearly at the back.
Bounce! Bounce it, you fucking number!
Webster. We know one goal could change things. Could change proceedings. We haven't had a winner in this contest in quite some seasons, and it looks like we'll certainly have one tonight. It's Mezzaruni. Strike away! Mezzaruni! Was hit with some venom along the turf. Just wide it was in the end. Lino. Advantage played on. Here is Cessnick. He looks left. Amakiotis. Martinovic. Looks to fire one, but it doesn't remotely challenge Chalamano Trinkova. .68 minutes gone here at JL Murphy Reserve. Bouncing ball towards Kim. Webster. Lambertarides. Peters. There's a Leach. The Sharks now composing themselves whilst in possession. Here's Edwards. It's Mezzaruni. He just slips on the turf. Lambertarides. Looks as if we'll see another change for Dandenong City. And it will be their final one, considering they've already utilised 4. A change for the Sharks. Fraser Dunlop. Former Perth Glory youth product is going to make his introduction. Leach, excellent work. Now with Courtney Perkins. Turning. It's towards Edwards, approaching the byline. And playing it deeper now towards Baker.
Leach is there between the lines playing. Shut up, Hancock, recover!
Here is Kyle Bryant. Hancock with a strong challenge. Deemed legal. Peters not deemed to be in an offside position. We'll play it towards Mezzaruni. Mezzaruni! And here is the change. And the final one at that for Dandenong City. Seb Hernando. Tricky midfielder is going to make his way onto the park. Off-coming is Danny Kim. And as for Fraser Dunlop, looks like his fellow Western Australian, Charlie Leach, was going to maybe make his way off the park, but not at yet. And Dana Milovanovic is going to make his introduction as well. Well-travelled is the midfielder. Milovanovic has played 18 stints at various clubs in his career, in Asia as well, with the likes of Madura United in Indonesia. Just a couple of names that he's played for: Oakley, Bentley, Heidelberg, Green Gully, Port Melbourne now, of course, Sydenham, where he most recently played his trade. And yeah, it looks like Jackson Courtney Perkins is well and truly done here. Heidelberg are now up 4-0. And looks like the other player in question is going to be Alex Baker. Well, the question really is if Dandenong City can crawl their way back in. They've got all their attacking quality on the park now. But the question is, what can they actually do? Matthew offside. Dunlop. Mezzaruni. Edwards looking down the line. Here is Dunlop. Into tow with Martinovic. Here is Hernando. Beautiful ball forward, was intended for Vali Sesnik. Now Mezzaruni is really blossoming into a NPL quality number 9. Of course, started off his career at South Melbourne and then actually made the move to Greece. with Lamia, who were in the second division at one point, and has sort of really struggled to break into a first team, but now he's done so, and yeah, all credit to him. He's been fantastic this evening. Webster, Hernando. Edwards picks off. Lambertarides. Now Sesnick. Now is the time for Dandenong City. Vali Sesnick looking right. Here is Bryant. Across the face, and they'll win a corner. Heidelberger made it 5 against Manningham. Here's Hernando. Pushing off Charlie Leach. And they have momentum to the Sharks. It's Dunlop. And a beautiful sliding effort from Lino. Briefly stops the Sharks in their tracks. Short ball from Emmanuel Peters. It's Fraser Dunlop. Just wide. Here is Hall.
Step.
Webster. Charging up the pitch. Martinovic. Edwards. Beautiful passing football from the Port Melbourne Sharks. It's Leach. Peters. Mezzaruni. Was charged down. Calls for a handball against Kenny Athiu. Waved away. Back with Mezzaruni. Steps. Now the cross delivered. And Bryant heads to it initially. Edwards. Second bite of the cherry. And a good routine catch from Hall in goals. Fernando. Playing a lot deeper this evening, looks like. The former Manningham United midfielder. That's an exquisite ball over the top. And Hamakiotis has found his way into the area. Twisting, turning, and Dandenong City have one back. Should I say Timothy Atharinos has provided an added booster for the away side. And Seb Hernando with an excellent delivery. And could Dandenong City curl their way back? They've got about 12 minutes or so of regulation time, and strange things have happened in this competition. Edwards. Every attack means something in these latter stages for the away side. A point would be of enormous value. As towards Peters. Looking to slide away. Initially won by Hernando. Stokes. Tricky feet. Hancock. Good initial first touch from Martinovic. Edwards. Lambertarides slamming down onto that intercepted pass. And for Port Melbourne, just about utilising as much time as they can to close out this tie. If City get a second, could really change the complexion I guess, the morale of the Port Melbourne Sharks. Maker, Mezzaruni, Stokes, Leach, Hancock. Beautiful ball over the top. Edwards was briefly upended, and the final decision is a goal kick. Here is Lino, just past halfway. Infield is Hernando. Sharks making their presence known. But Cesnik looked to shake off the challenges enforced by several Sharks players. Martinovic, not the greatest delivery in the world, and claimed by the Bulgarian goalkeeper. Now just about 10 minutes left for Dandenong City to provide a gut punch.
What the hell, man? Put the foot through it!
Mezzaruni.
Hold it up!
Dunlop wins out. An excellent slide away from Martinovic. Here is Dunlop. Physically a cross goal, and Mezzaruni again for the second time this evening. This time on the other side of the park. Has lashed it over the bar. And he looks to be in some way as well. Physio is required. And it looks like, perhaps, the late addition to the bench, Atticus Gonzalez, is going to make his way. In fact, it wasn't quite a late addition, but the late addition, should I say, actually was Jordan Gazim. But Atticus Gonzalez going to receive some much-needed minutes.
Natty.
Formerly of South Melbourne. Made the shift across a few seasons ago. Looks to be just a cramp for Mezzaruni. But they've called the stretcher. Very intriguing. Hopefully it's not that serious for Andrew Mezzaruni, but yeah, Mezzaruni looks to be okay. But yeah, the fact that they brought up the stretcher is a big cause of concern, and it's not needed. I'm not sure what's happened here. And a yellow card to Mezzaruni for going onto the stretcher. What is going on here? This is crazy. And it looks like Matt Hennessy has thrown it away onto the bench. I'm lost for words here, honestly. What has happened here? This is something that we haven't really seen in a long time. Atticus Gonzalez, after a few minutes, is going to make his introduction onto the park, it looks like. 4 goals this season in the under-23s competition. It's only featured once in a match they scored this season, a few weeks ago. Atticus Gonzalez has made his way onto the field after quite a long time and quite a few talking points to consider within that stoppage. The utilisation of the stretcher, but we're back underway now. Look upfield to Dandenong City. Time ticking away. Hernando driving in field, shaping it towards the back post. There is Bryant! He was close, but not quite the cigar. Salamanov Trinkova is going to take the goal kick now. This would have marked his third clean sheet of the season. Should have Atharinos not have scored. And City win the free kick. About 50 yards out, you would imagine. Now it's delivered. And Gonzalez is hacked down. The Sharks will make sure to utilise as much time as they possibly can. Soak up pressure. They're in no rush. Stokes. Lambatarides. Matthew. Hernando. Looking left. Atharinos. Runners arriving in the box for Dandenong City. A complete miscue from the goalkeeper. Martinovic can keep it alive for City. Towards the byline. Neatly finds Bryant. Oh, it's right into the groin area of Nathaniel Hancock. Just screamed in pain. Leach. Lunging effort from Hernando. Lambatarides picks out Martinovic. Underlapping is Bryant. And they'll win themselves a corner. They have to create something from this position, do Dandenong City. It is of the utmost priority that they can somehow, some way, earn themselves a point. It looks like Martinovic is going to provide support. It's hooked towards the back post. There is Athiu, still alive! Salamanov Trinkova. They make the save. Might I say, if you were to combine the two heights of the two goalkeepers this evening, you would have such a tall stature. You'd have to imagine two of the tallest goalkeepers in this competition. And it looks like we'll have 8 minutes of stoppage time. But of course, 2 minutes of regulation time still. Cesnik, short towards Hernando. Hancock deals with it well. Pushed off the ball by Hernando. Cesnik towards the byline, keeps it in play. And they'll win themselves a quarter. Hancock is still on the deck. It doesn't look like play will be stopped. It's short towards Martinovic. Delivered towards the back post. Athiu. Now the Sharks can really reset. Taking as much time as is required. Mako returns favour. Lino. Well, mistiming his touch was Atharinos. Now Gonzalez. Bundled over. ball over the top. That is a great delivery towards Bryant. Isolated with Hancock. Outside the foot delivery towards Athiu. Lambertarides chesting it down. It's eventually out of play, and it looks like the fourth official is going to go to his board. And in just a few moments, we'll have confirmation of the amount of time added for stoppages. Hennessy. Delivered towards the perimeter. Lambertarides almost mounting one of the Port Melbourne Sharks players, and we'll have 8 minutes of added time. I have to say that would be one of the longest stoppage time periods we've had in this season. The question remains, can Dandenong City pull one out of the fire? Dunlop. Emmanuel Peters in no man's land initially, but Lambertarides wins it back for Dandenong City. Hernando slightly away from his left foot. Here is Stokes. The perimeter of the penalty area for Fraser Dunlop, and there's a flag for offside. It's eventually called back following the initial ball from Seth Hernando.
Get a ball. Waste your own time.
Hall. Webster. Instituting a long ball forward. There was Hernando once more. Salamanov Trinkova. Passes it to himself, does Jack Webster. Edwards goes to ground, and he's awarded the free kick eventually.
Get close to the game, you numbnut! Get closer, you dickhead!
Well, a bit of added fire and desire within this tie. Always good to see as a neutral. Dunlop was in an offside position again. Marinos is not happy with his winger. Played as a wing back under Adam Pittick's systems last season. Hernando looking long. Will find its way towards that right corner flag. Martinovic can only get it away for a goal kick. It looks like they've done all they can. Port Melbourne firmly professional in the way in which they've approached this game for all intents and purposes. Their attacking qualities have shown that they can really attack in various spaces and at times of the contest. Can do it in transition through set pieces and finding space in that midfield. Something that they've done so well. And Athiu could be through on goal here. It's Atharinos, who's broken away, and a goal-mouth clearance perhaps might be in waiting, and it does so. How did Dandenong City not score there? Salamanov Trinkova was just walkabout. And that is outrageous. They had to score there. All Atharinos had to do was score. Now Leach driving through. He's got Dunlop to his left. And he's offside again. This game is providing drama in stoppage time. And no goals as of yet, might I add. Cleared high. Edwards wins the header initially. Hernando. A back foot. Loft over the top. Martinovic. Lambertarides. Into spaces Sesnick. Looks to fire one from range. Retrieves his own deflection. Owen Stokes. And again, it's into the feet of the Hajduk defense. Webster. Bryant. Hernando. A curling delivery. Met by Hancock. Now Edwards. And a poor touch from Fraser Dunlop as well. Edge of the area is Jack Webster. Calls for a handball. Waved away again by Ross Clark. And now Jackson Leno will bomb it upfield. Webster with a backwards header. It's Athiu. Edwards eventually gets the clearance. And Leach, with not many Dandenong City players back, might see through Atticus Gonzalez. On goal! And you almost thought as if the 19-year-old would have had his first goal at a senior level, judging by the reactions of Nick Marinos and his assistants. Back with Lambertarides. It's never too late for some drama for either side. It's Atharinos. Martinovic. He's hacked down. And they've called for a yellow card. Ross Clark handing one to Fraser Dunlop. Only 2 minutes left in stoppage time, it looks like. And if Dandenong City can somehow find one more, certainly would be the icing on the cake for what has been arguably one of the matches of the round. In terms of entertainment factor, you'd say it's all been there. Hernando with the delivery. Emmanuel Peters. Sharks players racing forward. It's Leach. Shifting on to his right. Look for the incisive ball in behind. Hernando in no rush. Eventually does find Lambertarides. Mistimes his pass. Just kept in by Martinovic, who had to slide onto the deck. To receive into touch. Back with Hernando. Here is Jack Webster. Mistimed once more. Ross Clark looks at his watch. Still very high up in the air. Atticus Gonzalez receives back to goal. Peters looking to race forward with momentum, and a yellow card will be awarded to Matt Hennessy. That might just be the last gasp of air afforded to Dandenong City, dissipating into the night sky. And it will be Owen Stokes. Can he deliver once again? He's done the spectacular once. Can he do it once more? It's Owen Stokes, not quite. And that'll be it. Here at JL Murphy Reserve, 3 unanswered goals initially from Emmanuel Peters, and a brace from Jackson Courtney Perkins was met by a stunning finish from Timothy Atharinos. They're 3 points in the bag for the Port Melbourne Sharks, who firm their spot in the finals race this season. As for Dandenong City, well, their struggle for consistency continues, and they'll have an interesting run of games coming, as we do have the reverse fixtures commencing in just a few weeks' time. I've been Neil Simons for Football Victoria. It's been a pleasure to have your company this evening, and we'll be back very soon for some more NPL Victoria action. Thank you very much, and good night.